killing spree targeting the taxi industry has rocked Cape Town. Taxis are not operating this morning following the violence, which left 7 people dead. eNCA's Nobesuthu Hejana is following that story and joins us live now from Cape Town. So what do we know about this violence of the past week, Nobesuthu? Where exactly is it concentrated and what appears to be at the heart of it?
Well, tonight it's been really difficult to find that information from both Kata and Kodeta. But what we heard from Kodeta yesterday when I did try to call its representative, they did say that it resulted from a route in Paarl where Kodeta was allowed to operate in that area, but then there were issues of Kata not wanting to, or rather Kodeta refusing to coexist with Kata in that environment. So that has been going on for at least 2 years now, and through that there's been several shootings due to that, and we've seen yesterday about 7 people shot dead in Cape Town in various taxi ranks, and in Ceres last month 5 taxi drivers were shot also, and including a 4-year-old. But we did speak to Kodeta this morning, and they were saying that whether they continue or not operating either today or tomorrow, that will be determined by the meeting that will be held between the MEC of Transport in the province, Dalen Mitchell, Kodeta, Kata, as well as Santako. But at this stage, they've not been operating. We've visited a number of taxi ranks in Fuleni and Khayelitsha, and also here at the top deck in Khayelitsha, where if you would see, it's pretty much empty, but the only taxis that are here, they don't belong to Kata nor Kodeta. So we've seen a number of people in the communities or in the townships opting to take buses from Golden Arrow. Some were even saying that they'd rather miss work than to walk long distances. And we also spoke to one lady who was saying that her journey will take her 20 minutes. She was traveling from Fuleni to Gales River, and one gentleman simply said that he was not going to make it traveling from Fuleni to Brackenfell.
Yeah, and in fact, as you talk about the experiences of the commuters who rely on taxis for their daily commute, one can only imagine the ripple effect this has had in the functioning and running of the economy in the city. Which areas in particular seem to be most affected, and which routes?
Well, tell us, when we drove to Mfuleni at around 6 o'clock this morning, we saw scores of people on the road walking to where they are heading to, whether they're going to work or anywhere else. But most people that have been affected are those in the townships like Khayelitsha, Guguletu and Mfuleni, because they're a bit further from town, and the mode of transport in those areas are mainly taxis. But we've seen quite a number of taxis traveling from Mitchell's Plain and other areas, and those taxis that are not under Kodeta or Kata, they have been making their ways to town, and many people were hoping that they'll see more buses into the locations, but it was only those that normally travel in those areas where we saw a number of people actually giving up on going to work.
All right, thank you for that. That's eNCA's Nobesuthu Hejana out in Cape Town, watching a concerning situation, which unfortunately we wish we could say is the aberration, and it's the exception to what actually happens. You'll know that this happens in many, many provinces. You've seen it in KwaZulu-Natal. Gauteng even had to have a whole commission of inquiry into violence in the taxi industry. Now you're seeing what you're seeing. In fact, that those acronyms, Kata and Kodeta, oh, my goodness, those tensions have existed for as long as I've been a journalist. And I've been a journalist for, almost 20 years now. In fact, this is my 20th year as a journalist. So there you are. While we're talking about upholding the rule of law, at some point we're going to have to get some traction on that front in as far as the taxi industry is concerned.